Salutations, Utopians. Hope all is well this evening with everyone. Blockbuster trade happened, as you all know, per Sham Serenia. Uh, uh, First blockbuster deal without Woj. As a lifelong Knicks fan, I know I'm unbiased as a sports fan. I've removed my emotions in basketball a long time ago, especially once I got into a little bit of sports wagering. Not that I'm like some heavy degenerate gambler or anything, but it keeps me on my p's and q's in terms of what's going on in the league. Uh, with that being said, the trade details for those who don't know. Minnesota receives Julius Randle, Detroit's lottery first round pick, and Dante DiVincenzo, sharpshooter from Villanova. The Knicks in return get Karl Towns. Uh, the Knicks first and foremost. The Knicks have this thing going on, and I'm surprised Silver hasn't gotten involved yet. But as you all know, the president is the former uh, was the CEO of CAA Sports Agency Division, and Leon Rose has been around a long time. High profile guys. He comes from the '90s era with the David Falks elite agents. I'm talking, the creme de la creme, and now he's moved into executive role, elite executive role, talking about skyboxes above the clouds, and Leon Rose with Dolan kind of got the Knicks on this thing where they're part of this new wave since LeBron it started with Rich Paul, that sports agency they have there. They are part of the Rob Palenkas, the new agents, like the music industry. The DJs become the new A&Rs and record execs. The same thing can be said now with um, agents becoming the new GMs and presidents of basketball franchises to compete because of the lion's share that LeBron has kind of monopolized in the NBA. And so, since arriving, a lot of his clients and players on the Knicks coincidentally happen to be, part of that agency and that pipeline. For instance, OG Anunoby, uh, great, phenomenal two-way player, definitely something the Knicks needed. But it also helps that he is the client of the president Leon Rose's son. Hence, him getting 200 million off the market when most guys, because of the new CBA, were not getting paid like that. That's what you do as a father, though. You want to create opportunities for your children, and so that's what your goal is when you make kids and doing all those things. Creating opportunities for them. But that is what's going on in a time in the summer where everybody else was taking cap crunch. Got and that's what business is. Sports and entertainment. It's based on relationships, and so. You look and you see what's going on here, and coincidentally, they get Karl Towns, who's also a client, and he's already locked into his deal. Some say he might be a little overpaid, making 60 million a year, and been questions about his toughness. You could tell there was times even in press conferences where Anthony Edwards was even mocking him. Even at one time, after all that, he did that in a press conference. You kind of knew the writing was on the wall. It was only a matter of time. Anthony Edwards, in a fraction of the time, has accomplished more with the Minnesota Timberwolves than Karl Towns did in almost a decade. And his shortcomings and the mere fact that Nas Reed outperformed him down the stretch certain times, though Karl Towns definitely raised and elevated his game and improved himself, still left a lot to be determined. A lot to be desired in the grand scheme of things, and ultimately was a big reason why the Wolves couldn't get out of the position they were in. The big knock on Julius Randle is he can only go left. With a guy like Anthony Edwards, who can really cause an entire game plan defensively and create an entire defensive scheme against him, that will become irrelevant. Paired with the fact they got one of the best shot creators and just pure point guards in recent years in Rob Dillingham, who I've drawn comparisons. Floor Brandon Jennings. Ceiling, Kyrie Irving. I think he's a better ball distributor than Kyrie. Kyrie's not as great of a distributing point guard. He's more of a score first guy. Rob is really likes to initiate and can see a play develop before it happens. But just in terms of the superior elite ball handling skills, which I do think Kyrie has him by a slight edge, but this isn't about that right now. It's really more just about the mere fact that, they getting Julius there to help toughen up Rudy Gobert. And I feel like him going to Minnesota is similar to Zach Randolph with the grit and grind. Up until then, he's been historically don't get me wrong, a guaranteed 20 and 10, but it was more of a stat padding, not really impacting the win-loss column. And then gets to the Grizzlies, and he just plugged in next to, such a dominant force in Marc Gasol, a great system. Mike Conley, one of the more underrated all-decade team point guards there are, and it all of a sudden just became full circle. I think we'll get the best version ever of Julius Randle. I do personally, on first impression, do believe that the Wolves got the better end of this trade and the Knicks got worse. Though you have great perimeter players, I think, and it's funny because Jalen Rose and myself have drawn comparisons to Karl Towns to Patrick Ewing. And so to see him now, that was his NBA comp to me, but he's just not as tough or physical or much of a warrior like Pat was. To see him now in New York is amazing. I mean, he is from that, he has roots to New York. I do feel like, damn, I don't understand still why the Knicks moved off of Obi Toppin. I've compared it to Zubac going to the Clippers, but even Zubac going to the Clippers, that was Jerry West's guy, and he was in the front office, so they practically handed Zubac to the Clippers. In this scenario, I don't understand why you would mobilize one of your greatest foes in the Indiana Pacers, who literally they could have ran into this playoffs. And they will at some point, and it's going to, come back to questionably bite them. With that being said, the Wolves, I don't know why the Knicks would make a deal with Tim Connolly. They took a step back, and now they look a little mediocre. The fact that they had the Villanova connection, and then Julius Randle comes from a certain era, and what it allows them to do, yeah, the Knicks got fleeced. And, they fall back into mediocre and what I like to call video game team, where it looks cool on paper, but in actual game scenario, they're not like that. And Randall did a fantastic job on Giannis. This is going to be detrimental move for them, honestly, in so many ways. And for Julius Randle, this is going to be, I can't believe this trade happened. The Knicks are clearly just playing the money game, especially now with the cable television isolation that's going on with the Knicks owner, James Dolan, whose dad was a prominent figure in the cable world. They made their billions off of that, and now that the streaming rights, you're seeing a lot of teams in the league. He's been very vocal. The Knicks are like, here, shut up, make your money and be quiet, we don't care. While teams like Phoenix, Dallas, the Clippers, to name a few, are out here now giving away the games for free on local television. Slowly but surely, the Knicks are getting broken down. And in return, they're just taking a bunch of money and circumventing the money in-house. And I guess that's kind of just what it is. Enjoy your money and be quiet. The Knicks took a step back. The Wolves are, again, making more moves towards getting Anthony Edwards into that legacy conversation for championships. I didn't think going into this season the Wolves had enough. Now I do. The Wolves have instantly become title contenders. The Knicks are becoming pretenders. They're no threat to Boston at this point now, losing Randle. Randle was the X factor. His old school toughness. Remember, he is part of that Kobe era. His rookie year, he was there when Kobe was there. And this was a guy who brought a different level of toughness, and they had layers to them. Now they're just completely soft. I didn't feel like Hartenstein was that much of a devastating off because he wasn't that much offensively. I do think the Knicks were trying to play it off and make it look like they had a bigger plan. Like, I guess technically you could say Karl Towns is an upgrade over Hartenstein. But it's like I said, they're a video game team. It's like certain teams that just put up a bunch of points, but they're synthetic soft. That's what they are now. Yes, OG's tough. Yes, Mikal Bridges is tough, a great perimeter defender. But ultimately, at the end of the day, Carl Towns now he becomes like in that Anthony Davis, like what mood is he in tonight type thing. I think Brunson will create a lot of opportunities for him, but I just ultimately I felt like Randall's quickness, lateral quickness, helped a lot on defensive switches. And if Randall becomes the new power forward, they become even more slower. If he's the new center, they become even more soft of a team. Unless you want to put Precious in there, I guess. I don't know. I just don't like it for the Knicks. Something about the mystique is not there for me. It just doesn't do it. But to be determined. Randall has been breaking down lately the last couple years, so that is a bit of a problem. He missed now 2 playoffs due to that. Both years his playoffs have concluded with injury, so and then Mitchell Robinson has been breaking down. Towns plays a relatively low to the ground center of gravity style of ball. As you all know, he won the 3-point contest. You can never get mad at having a stretch 5. Everything is going to play down to the wire, and who knows, but I definitely think that the Timberwolves address more pressing needs than the Knicks did, more glaring needs. I think Julius Randle, paired with the fact that DiVincenzo gives them another perimeter threat, you can never go wrong having a guaranteed perimeter score. This was a great trade for Tim Connolly. He doesn't take losses, and he always in the end looks like a genius. I mean, people said he gave up too much for Rudy Gobert, but then Gobert's been winning Defensive Player of the Year awards, so at least on paper, even though games and championships are not won that way, you can at least make the argument that, well, he's doing what he does. He clearly has some special power behind him. And so, hey, that's it. We're going to have to see. The only time will be the greatest revealer of all things, as I like to say, and I probably got it from somewhere else also, but that's what I always tell myself in these situations. Only time will reveal. I do think this is a great career opportunity for Randall getting back on the West Coast, and his versatility will really help Gobert mask his deficiencies, especially as he gets older. The Wolves have to protect their investment. Shout out to both sides. This is like I said, first big trade post-Woj era. Glad to see it happen. I'll try to do better next time. Utopians Global out.